My name is Brandon. I'm 34. I work in commercial real estate and I've always believed that success should be shared, especially with the person you plan to grow old with. That person was my wife, Melissa. We'd been married 5 years. High school sweethearts who stuck together through college, careers, and all the broke, sleep-deprived, ramen for dinner nights that come with building something from scratch. We didn't have much at the beginning, but we always had each other. At least, that's what I believed. Melissa worked in corporate law. Smart, poised, and stunning in that intimidating way that made people sit up straighter when she walked into a room. I used to joke that I married up. She used to laugh and say, "Damn right you did." She supported me when I took risks, encouraged me when I failed. And when my commissions finally started stacking up, when the deals got bigger and the money got real, I told her I wanted to do something special. "I want to buy us a house," I said. "Not just any house, a forever home. One with a backyard for the dog she always talked about, a guest suite for her parents, and a walk-in closet she could basically live in. The works." She lit up like a Christmas tree. We toured a dozen places, but I already had one in mind. A 2-story modern craftsman on a quiet cul-de-sac. Big windows, open concept, a kitchen she said looked like something out of a cooking show. When we stepped into the master bedroom, she grabbed my hand and whispered, "This feels like our future." So I bought it. Full price. No mortgage. It was a surprise. I told her I had to go back to the office one afternoon and instead signed the papers, closed the deal, and got the keys. That night, I blindfolded her, drove her to the house, and walked her in. She cried. Happy tears. Threw her arms around me and said I was the most thoughtful man alive. And for a while, life felt like a movie. Dinner parties, lazy Sundays on the patio, long walks in the neighborhood talking about kids and travel and retirement dreams. But about 6 months in, things shifted. She started coming home later from work. Claimed she was prepping for trial or going out with the girls. Her phone was suddenly always on silent. She started showering right when she got home, which was new. At first, I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. I told myself she was stressed, that this was just the next phase of life. Marriage wasn't supposed to stay perfect forever, right? But then I found the receipt. It was in the trash can under the sink. A boutique hotel in the city. 1 night, 2 guests, champagne add-on. And it was paid for with our joint credit card. My name wasn't on the reservation. That was the moment the lights finally came on. She was cheating. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I didn't scream or cry or flip furniture. I just froze. My mind split in two. One side drowning in pain, the other calmly calculating the next move. I went quiet. Watched her closely. Took note of patterns. Made backups of everything: text logs, bank statements, location history from our shared cloud account. And what I found broke whatever pieces of my heart were left. It wasn't just some fling. It was consistent. Methodical. She met him every other Thursday. A coworker. Paralegal. Younger. His name was Jason. And the worst part? She'd brought him into her house. Our home. The place I bought for her. For us. She let him sleep in her bed. That was the night something inside me changed permanently. Not just the end of trust. The beginning of revenge. Revenge doesn't start with anger. Not the lasting kind. It starts with clarity. And after everything I saw, texts, transactions, locations, I was clearer than I'd ever been in my life. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to ruin her, piece by piece, without her suspecting a thing. The first step was pretending. Pretending I was still clueless. Still the doting, hard-working husband who bought her a dream house just to see her smile. I cooked more. Asked her about her day. Let her believe whatever fantasy world she was living in hadn't collapsed under the weight of her lies. Because if I played it right, she wouldn't see the trap until it snapped shut. While she texted Jason things like, "I think he suspects something and he's been acting weird lately," I was quietly restructuring everything. Step 1. Separate finances. I had already paid off the house in full, but I was smart. I never added her name to the deed. She didn't know that. She assumed joint ownership. So I opened a new private bank account, slowly moved my commissions and savings into it, and closed the old joint account citing fraud activity. She believed it. Said, "Ugh, banks are the worst," and gave me a kiss on the cheek. Step 2. Legal prep. I contacted a discreet attorney, someone outside our city, someone with a reputation for handling complex marital situations. I told her everything. She didn't flinch. Just nodded and started working on documentation. She also gave me a tip that changed the game. If you catch her cheating in your marital home and document it, you can pursue a fault-based divorce. In this state, that gives you significant leverage, especially with property and alimony. That's when step 3 came into play, evidence. I installed a small security camera in the hallway near the bedroom. She never noticed. I placed another in the living room. Legally, I was allowed to record in my own home as long as it didn't violate reasonable expectation of privacy. I wasn't recording the bedroom directly, just enough to see who came and went. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I got what I needed. Friday night, she said she was working late. I told her I was heading out of town to visit a friend. Jason came over. They opened wine, watched a movie, kissed on my couch, walked hand in hand into the bedroom. She didn't even lock the front door. The next morning, I returned early, quietly, parked down the street. Watched through the window as he scrambled to grab his shirt while she peeked through the blinds like a teenager afraid of getting caught. She didn't see me, but my camera caught everything. And with that footage, the house she loved so much became the weapon I'd use to destroy the fantasy she built inside it. I called my lawyer, told her we were moving forward. There's something poetic about serving divorce papers in the very house you built for love. Especially when that love turned out to be nothing more than a mask. The day I chose to do it was perfect. She had just gotten back from a girls' brunch, hair curled, wearing a summer dress, humming to herself in the kitchen while she poured lemonade into the glasses I bought for our wedding registry. I was sitting on the couch, calm, focused. When she turned around, I slid the folder across the coffee table. She looked down, blinked. "What's this?" she asked with a nervous laugh. "Read it," I said. She opened the folder. The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Her fingers gripped the papers as her eyes moved down the page. Then she looked at me, pale and shaking. "You're divorcing me?" I nodded. "With cause." Mark, I don't understand." I stood up, walked to the TV stand and pulled out a flash drive. I tossed it next to the papers. "That's from our home security system. You might recognize the guy you let into my house, into our bed." Her jaw dropped. She didn't even try to deny it. "You were spying on me," she said, flipping instantly from guilt to rage. I laughed. "In my house? The house I bought? The one I paid for in full without ever putting your name on the deed?" She froze. "You didn't add me?" "No." "And the car?" "That's under my LLC. The accounts? All separated. The jewelry? I have receipts for everything. And my lawyer already filed a restraining order to prevent any asset transfer until this is finalized." She looked like she'd just been hit by a freight train. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "No," I said. "What's not fair is letting another man sleep in the home I bought for us while smiling in my face like nothing was wrong." She sank into the chair, speechless. Then the panic started. "Mark, please. Let's talk. I messed up. I know I did. But it didn't mean anything. Don't," I cut in. "Don't insult me with that line." She tried to reach for my hand. I stepped back. "You don't love me," I said calmly. "You loved the lifestyle. The house. The image. Me? I was just the guy who made it all happen." She didn't argue, because she knew I was right. I handed her an envelope. Inside were the details of the temporary living arrangement I'd set up for her. A small rental. 3 months paid in advance. Enough time to figure out what came next. "But this house," I added, "stays with me." Her eyes welled with tears. "You'd really kick me out of our home?" "Our?" I echoed. "You lost your claim the day you brought him through that front door." I walked upstairs without another word, packed a small bag for her, left it by the door. She followed me but didn't speak. The silence was heavy, final. She left an hour later. Didn't even slam the door. Just walked out of her dream and into reality. The first morning after she left was quiet. Not the kind of quiet that feels empty, no, this one felt earned. Like a storm had passed, and for the first time in months, I could finally breathe without choking on lies. I stood in the kitchen sipping coffee, staring out at the backyard we never got around to furnishing. It still had the folding chairs from our housewarming party. Her wine glass was still out there too, sitting on the edge of the railing like it was waiting for her to come back. I threw it out. Over the next week, I scrubbed the house clean. Not just physically, emotionally. I donated the throw pillows she picked out, trashed the scented candles I always hated, and pulled every framed photo of us off the walls. One by one, I replaced them with things that felt like me. Art I actually liked. A record player I'd always wanted. I even painted the bedroom a new color. No more soft beige. I chose dark navy with white trim. Clean. Bold. Honest. And that's what I was now. Honest with myself. I started therapy. Twice a week. Not because I was broken, but because I refused to carry her damage into whatever came next. I also started running again. 5 miles a day. Just me, my music, and the pavement. And every step felt like shedding another layer of who I'd been with her, the people pleaser, the provider, the man who gave and gave until he had nothing left but suspicion and silence. 2 months after she moved out, the divorce was finalized. No contest. I kept the house, the cars, the investments. She walked away with her clothes and a few keepsakes. I didn't fight her on the small stuff. I didn't need to. I'd already won. And she knew it. I ran into her once after that. At a coffee shop near her new apartment. She looked different, tired, smaller. She smiled when she saw me like we were old friends. "Hey," she said. "You look good." "Thanks," I said. "You look okay." She laughed awkwardly. Tried to make small talk. I kept it short. "I should go," I said, grabbing my drink. "Got a house project I'm working on." She hesitated. "Still in the dream house?" I looked her in the eyes and smiled. "It's not a dream house anymore. It's just home." She didn't reply. Just nodded and walked away. I never heard from her again. A year passed. 12 months of quiet mornings, real conversations, and learning how to enjoy being alone without feeling lonely. The house was no longer a museum of failed promises. It was lived in, worn in, and finally mine. I built a fire pit in the backyard. Put up string lights along the fence. Friends started coming over more. Dinners turned into late-night talks around the fire. One night, someone asked, "Do you regret buying this place? After everything?" I didn't even have to think. "No," I said. "I regret who I bought it for, but not that I bought it. Because the truth is, I didn't just build this house for her. I built it for the life I thought we were creating. For the version of myself who believed in long-term love, family, trust. That man wasn't weak. He just gave those things to the wrong person. But the dream didn't die with her exit. It just changed shape. A few months ago, I met someone new. Her name's Lena. She's different, calm, grounded, no games. We met through mutual friends at a dinner party. And I swear the first conversation we had felt like oxygen after years underwater. No pretenses. No competition. Just honesty. I didn't tell her everything at first. How could I? But eventually, I opened up. Told her the story about Melissa, the house, the betrayal. She didn't flinch. She listened. Asked questions. Then said something that stuck with me. "You know, it sounds like you didn't just survive that. You leveled up through it." And that's exactly how it felt. Because pain doesn't always destroy. Sometimes it refines. This house was once a monument to deception. Now it's a symbol of healing. I wake up each day grateful I didn't stay blind. Grateful I didn't settle. Grateful I didn't hand over forgiveness to someone who never earned it. Melissa? I don't think about her much anymore. Last I heard, Jason dumped her 6 weeks after the papers were signed. She moved to a smaller place across town, tried to reinvent herself. I don't keep tabs. There's nothing left to track. Whatever version of her I loved died the day she let someone else walk barefoot across the floors I laid with love. As for me, I'm doing all right. No, better than all right. I didn't just win the house. I won back my self-respect. And if there's anyone out there listening to this, sitting in the wreckage of betrayal, wondering if it gets better, it does. Not overnight. Not without work. But one day, you'll wake up in a bed you made, inside a life you rebuilt, and you'll realize they didn't destroy you. They freed you. I thought it was over. But people like Melissa don't leave quietly. About a month after that peaceful night around the fire pit, after I had truly started feeling like I was turning the corner on everything, I got an email. Not a text. Not a call. An email. That's how I knew she was planning something. Melissa didn't do emails unless it was work-related or legal. Subject line: "We need to talk about the house." I read the message 3 times, just to make sure I wasn't missing some hidden threat between the lines. It was short. "Hi Brandon. I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking a lot lately, and I was wondering if we could talk. Not about us, about the house. I'd like to stop by. Just a quick conversation, nothing heavy. Let me know. Melissa. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I didn't know what pissed me off more. That she still called it the house. As if she had a stake in it, or that she was pretending to be polite now. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to my lawyer and asked her to document it. 3 days passed. Then she showed up. Uninvited. She knocked. I didn't answer. She knocked again. Longer this time. I pulled back the curtain just enough to see her standing there. She had on that same tailored coat she wore during our closing appointment a year and a half ago. Like she thought dressing the part would earn her some ground again. I opened the door halfway, didn't say anything. She spoke first. I didn't mean to surprise you. You didn't reply. I waited. She fidgeted. I thought about everything. This place. What it meant. What we built. And I wanted to ask. Could we maybe talk about revisiting things? I blinked. You mean the house? Or your decision to ruin our marriage and invite your affair into it? Her face stiffened. She wasn't expecting that level of bluntness. I know I messed up, but people grow. People change. And some people, I said, don't get to walk back into places they burned to the ground. She tried to laugh, like this was just me being cold and dramatic. I'm serious, she said. I've had time to reflect. Jason, he wasn't anything. He was just noise. Funny, I said, because he was pretty loud in my bedroom. Her mouth shut. She shifted tactics. I'm not here to argue. I don't know. Maybe hoping we could talk about me moving back in for a bit. That part stunned me. Excuse me. Just temporarily. I'm struggling. Rent's high. And this house is too big for just you anyway. I actually laughed. Out loud. This house is too big for you to walk back into like nothing happened. She looked embarrassed, like she was just realizing how insane the ask was. You cheated. Lied. Slept with another man in this house. And now you think what? Because you're struggling, I'm going to just hand it back to you. She didn't say anything. I took a deep breath. You want to know what this house is full of now, Melissa? Peace. Quiet. Self-respect. And none of those things have room for you anymore. She blinked hard. Like she might cry. But I didn't care. Goodbye, Melissa. And I closed the door. This time for good. After I closed the door on Melissa, something clicked inside me. Not rage. Not satisfaction. Just closure. The kind you don't announce with fireworks or post about online. The kind you feel in your bones when you finally stop carrying someone else's weight. She never came back after that. No more emails. No more surprise visits. Whatever story she had been telling herself, the one where I'd still be there when her fantasy fell apart, died the moment I told her no to her face. And let me tell you something, there's power in the word no. Especially when it's aimed at someone who always assumed they could manipulate their way back in. After that day, I doubled down on my life. I hosted more dinners with friends. Lena started coming around more. Not as a replacement. She didn't need to be. She was just herself. And that was enough. She met me where I was, not where she wished I'd be. And slowly, we started building something that didn't have cracks beneath the surface. One evening, we were sitting on the patio I'd rebuilt with my own hands. The string lights were glowing softly and she was sipping tea, feet tucked under her. She looked around and said, "You can tell this place has a story." I smiled. "It does," I replied. "But now it's getting a better ending." She didn't press. She never did. That's how I knew I was in the right place with the right person. Months passed. I traveled. Took time for myself. Spent money without guilt. Got a dog, a goofy lab mix that chews furniture and acts like the king of the backyard. Sometimes I still catch glimpses of the past. Like a reflection in the window that looks too familiar. Or a scent from a candle she used to burn. But it doesn't hurt anymore. Because that house? That home? It's mine now. Fully. Emotionally. Legally. Spiritually. It's not a symbol of betrayal. It's a monument to healing. To learning that no matter how much you give someone, they can still choose to hurt you. And when they do, you're allowed to walk away without looking back.